Welcome to Kiss the Reviews. I'm Armando. With me, as always, is the lovely Corey. And today, we're doing the mighty film Contraband. Before we get started, if you want to follow the show, you could follow us on the social medias at Kiss the Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. And as always, we're going to plug the Patreon channel until we get, I don't know, a gajillion subscribers there.
Until
So
we don't have to do this anymore.
again, exactly. So if you want to follow us on Patreon, head over to the Patreon app, the website. You can find us at Kiss the Reviews, and it's $2. $2 get you into the very exclusive club.
Yeah.
And VIP access with pre-show hijinks and us talking about getting beaten by our parents and, well, me. But neither here nor there. I say we get into the cast.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about how your parents don't love you anymore.
Oh my God. So Contraband stars, obviously, the heaven sent Mark Wahlberg as Chris Farraday, Giovanni Ribisi as Tim Briggs, Kate Beckinsale as Kate Farraday, and Caleb Landry Jones as Andy.
I always imagine now when I'm watching a Mark Wahlberg movie, and full disclosure, I don't know him personally as a person, so I could be way off base. The public Mark Wahlberg, I fucking despise him as a human being. So I'm hitting this motherfucker with everything I got because I do not like you. Now,
I do
again,
not like your public persona.
As a person, you might be rad as fuck, and I might be like, fuck. Like, I wish I didn't say that shit on the show that one time because I really wish we could hang out. But something tells me I don't. We're very opposite people. That being said.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, that being said, every time I sit down now to watch a Mark Wahlberg film, especially one of these, like, I'm an action guy movies, I imagine him getting the script and going, this looks pretty good. You're not going to cast no Asians, are you? Because he doesn't like Asians at all. He almost killed one.
I got that joke. I got it.
And what the fuck is wrong with you?
I liked him for so long. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I'd like, Donnie D on the back. I liked him for so long. And like now he's like shilling the Catholicism app. You're a fucking cool guy.
Yeah, dude,
But
like
go ahead. Go ahead.
He's just one of those guys where it's like, oh, you hear something here, and then 5 years later you hear something else, and then you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then you actually
put it all together.
Condense it all, and
Yes.
you put it together, and it's a long list of what makes up a human turd.
Yes. Yes. And I'll say this, and we can get off Mark, and we can just like trash his movie. But like,
Yeah.
Listen, just secret time. Catholics aren't supposed to care. Like, that's the whole thing. Just to let you know.
What is the point of being Catholic if you have to care on top of all the other shit?
That's what I'm saying. Listen, for all the molestation that happens in the churches, the only time you have to go back is on like Christmas and Easter, and that's it. Outside of that, you're not supposed to care.
No.
But them's the rules. I didn't make them up. But off of him, underrated actor, Giovanni Ribisi. Nobody talks about this guy enough. Talk about a guy that
100%.
I do like, and the range of his characters from Phoebe's brother and Friends to this to he plays the one capo in the Paramount show about the Godfather,
Oh,
making
yeah.
of the Godfather, The Offer.
Mhm.
Like his range is amazing. The guy can play anything or anyone.
Yeah, he's fantastic. And this would be actually, we'll do this right off the rip.
Corey's life lessons.
Hi, Mark Wahlberg douchebags of the world. If you want to be a douchebag, be as talented as Giovanni Ribisi is. Then nobody will give a shit. Because Giovanni Ribisi could have killed 7 people, and I wouldn't fucking care. He's talented, and I am entertained when I watch his art form.
Yes.
You, Mark, not so much.
No, Mark plays the same character. In this, again, I said it in the pre-show, but in this nautical version of Gone in 60 Seconds, because the
100%.
script is exactly the same. Except this one takes place in the ocean. So, well, let's
And
just
also
get
stars Giovanni Ribisi, which is...
Yes.
He's like, you
It
don't want
already-
me to play the brother?
Which Giovanni Ribisi makes both movies better.
Yes.
But so here's the setup, right? We'll just give you the setup. Chris Farraday, played by Mark Wahlberg. He's an ex-smuggler. He has his own company that installs like security cameras now because he's out of the game. You know, a la Nick Cage in Gone in 60 Seconds. Except Nick Cage is like running like a kid's jump house or whatever at the beginning. But his brother-in-law gets into trouble smuggling drugs in from wherever the fuck. And now he's got to get back in the game, but his wife doesn't want him to get back in the game. But like now he's got to get in and save his brother. There's the setup.
Yeah. Couple things there, Captain. First,
By the way, that's the whole review.
yeah, that's pretty much it. Now back to Mark Wahlberg. No, I'm just kidding. So I know we're comparing this to Gone in 60 Seconds, and you are 100% correct. It is literally the script, just as you said, nautical themed. So stupid. Fucking stupid. You're a fucking whole ass fool.
You were right.
Mark Wahlberg's character here is so much like Steven Seagal's character in Above the Law. He is perfect. There is not a flaw. And you're like, well, he was a smuggler. Yeah. And now he owns a security company and doing like high-end security shit. So where he lives in a really nice place. Get the fuck out of here.
He's like a hacker that gets hired by the government to prevent other hackers from getting in.
And throughout this movie, he says things that aren't jokes, but then like smiles and everybody's like, oh, Chris. Cool. You're not that guy.
Yes.
Like, you think you're John Hamm. You ain't, motherfucker. You ain't John Hamm. John Hamm could just be like, hey, look, turtles. And everybody's like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. You can't. You fuck.
But this movie opens, aside from Corey's hate for Mark Wahlberg, the movie opens with Andy dumping drugs overboard of the ship that he's on because, you know, U.S. Customs is like boarding the ship and he's got to dump the drugs so he doesn't get caught.
Mm.
And it cuts to Wahlberg at like his buddy's wedding. They're sharing stories of smuggling life, and he has to leave when him and his wife get the news that Andy is in the hospital after Tim Briggs fucks him up for losing the drugs. And one thing that I really liked from Mark Wahlberg in this, and then one scene that I really hated. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try to be fair on this one, but
Yep.
They're in the hospital. Her brother's all fucked up. And she's like, don't worry, they're not going to kill you. Cut to Mark Wahlberg's face this is the best nonverbal acting in this scene because he's like, I mean, they're gonna fucking kill him.
Andy, they're not gonna kill you.
There's a lot of stuff.
It was one of those like little scenes that I just started laughing, and I'm like, yeah, they're totally gonna fucking kill him. Everybody knows it.
Yeah, I don't know what fucking world she's living in, but this is also a staple of a Mark Wahlberg action movie.
Yes.
Is a female that is batshit stupid, is only there to fuck things up or to be like a damsel in distress, and then possibly maybe get raped or be threatened about rape. Because if you go through his movies, it happens a lot.
And you talk about
unless he's exploiting a disaster. In that case, there are no females. We're just exploiting a disaster man style.
Yes. Well, going back to the batshit piece, this is the part in these movies. I don't care if it's a Gone in 60 Seconds or this or any, myriad of movies that have come out that are like this, right? But there's always this scene. He owes the money to the guy. And I mean, the only thing that I can think of doing is the one thing that I'm fucking awesome at, that I'm better than anybody in the goddamn universe. And she's like, well, you promised you wouldn't do the thing and you wouldn't, he's my little brother. And like, she shifts right here. And she was like, you can't do the thing, but he's my little brother. So you got to do whatever it takes to get the fuck out of here. Can you just shut the fuck up and let me go do the thing? Because I'm going to do it anyway.
Oh, she's white womaning super hard here.
Yeah. Yes.
Super hard.
Yeah. Because she wants him. She's like, oh, well, go talk to this guy who has neck tattoos and try to explain everything away and get him out of this mess. And he's like, yeah, I don't think that's going to work, but cool. So he goes and he talks to Briggs to try to straighten everything out. Briggs tells him to go kick rocks and that he owes him $700K for the lost drugs. This is where he actually has the conversation of like, hey, I'm going to have to go do the thing. Because go figure, the guy with neck tattoos isn't super logical and doesn't want to hash things out.
No, not in any way, shape, or form. And this is where Briggs makes the big mistake here too. Because he's like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking get him, and then I'm coming for you, and you are now responsible for the debt. But it's one thing you're gonna kill this fuck up.
Yeah.
He's gonna die in about 5 to 10 years anyway. Might as well just get it over with now while we're all expecting it. Just throw some oxygen in the fucking IV and let's call it a day. Just make it that painless, okay? So we don't have to do a whole murder thing. It's not all bloody and shit. Just that way it goes away. And then bygones are bygones, it's over. But now I owe you money?
Yeah. Well,
yeah, now I got to fuck you up.
This is, again, we always talk about how long movies would last if we were in them in real life. This movie would end here because after I wouldn't even go to talk to Briggs. I would just be like, dude, this kid's a fuck up, right? But every account, Briggs says it, Wahlberg says it, like, my brother-in-law is a fuck up. Okay, cool. Well, then go give him the pink juice and let's call it a day, right? Here, where he's like, oh, well, you owe me $700,000. Well, not really. How about this? How about I just go kill my brother-in-law and you and me are straight and the movie's over? There is no smuggling.
You were correct.
You know he's a fuck up.
Yep.
This is on you and your hiring practices. You need to get an HR department because this isn't my fault. Right? You asked this fuck up to do the job for you. It's on you. Kiss my entire ass and you can get $700,000 out of my fucking cold dead hands. It ain't ever happening.
Briggs has the same HR department that Nino Brown has because Nino Brown's hiring crackheads off the streets.
Facts. Facts.
But Chris goes back to Briggs here to tell him that, listen, I'm going to do the thing, but it's going to take me a month to get everything set up and get you the money that you need, right? The money
Mhm.
or whatever. Because he's not going to go. He doesn't want to do drugs because he's old school. So Briggs says something about killing his family,
Mhm.
which sets Wahlberg off. Wahlberg beats the ever loving shit out of him here, and then agrees like, "Hey, 2 weeks, and I'll get you the stuff." You just mushed this dude, okay? And I'm pretty sure he's now scared of you. You just say a month or it's done. Or this is where the movie ends a second time. You just kill him and walk away.
That's what's happening in real life because gang leaders can't do one thing, and that's lose fucking face.
Yes.
You just got your ass kicked in front of a bunch of your dudes.
Yes.
Either you're killing him or you're done. Your days
Yep.
of leadership are over because they all know they can now fuck you up too.
Hell yes.
Wahlberg goes to his dad, who's in jail, who got busted for smuggling, and asks him to like get him to hook up and yada yada so he can get on the boat. He sets up this whole thing in like Panama to where he's going to pick up funny money and sell it and make the money back, and so he can pay off Briggs. So with the help of his friend Sebastian, he puts together a crew to run down to Panama, and he's on the boat where the ship's captain hates his dad, so he hates him too. And going back to other reviews we've done, I
Mhm.
fucking love J.K. Simmons. He plays the best asshole
Oh
on the
yeah,
planet. On the planet, hands down. You got an asshole in a movie, it's just like, get J.K. on the line. We need this.
dude. Even in that movie I think it's a Hulu movie called Palm Springs with Andy Samberg.
Yes. Where he plays
Even in that,
the hunter.
he's a funny asshole.
Yes.
But he's a dick, but he's so fucking funny in it, dude. Like he's great.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic talent. Saying he's
No,
like
he's
Giovanni Ribisi. He could kill 7 people, and I'd be like, yeah, but Whiplash, bro. Like, come on. Like, what are we talking about? I don't know those 7 people. I know Whiplash, but I don't know them 7 people. Yeah, like
But
unless you're doing Kevin Spacey shit, you're
yeah,
gonna get talent will get you a big pass in this world.
100%. But so Chris gets on this boat. He's headed off to Panama to do his smuggling things. And Briggs heads over to his house, fucks with his wife and kids. He has his wife call Sebastian for help because he calls his wife, was like, "Hey, what the hell?" So she calls Sebastian for help. He comes over, convinces her to have the kids and her stay at his house. So they do that because him and Chris go back years and they're best friends and yada yada. So the kids and her are at his house now.
Was this? I'm gonna spoil it here. So if you haven't seen the movie, stop this now and then go
if
back.
if you haven't seen the movie, it's been like 12 years.
I had never seen the movie, but that's because I have a Mark Wahlberg thing where I'm like,
Okay.
fuck him.
Is it possible this story is true?
Yes, it is.
Did Sebastian set this up to happen? Because this makes no
No.
sense for Briggs to do this. Because Briggs knows Wahlberg's doing the thing. So him going like, hey, your husband better get me my fucking da-da-da-da-da-da. He's doing it on a
Yeah.
ship. What the fuck are
Yeah,
you doing?
this one makes the first one makes no sense. The
Yeah.
one later in the movie makes all the sense because Wahlberg's
Well,
like,
yeah.
I'm going to get rid of the drugs or blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But this one makes zero sense why he would do it. And I don't know because they mention Briggs's brother. Like him and Wahlberg were like thick as literal thieves and
Yeah.
whatever. And he's like the unhinged version of his older brother, which is basically like Andy, who's been in the hospital, who's now on the ship with Wahlberg. He's the fuck up. Wahlberg's the good one.
Yeah.
This dude, same thing, but he's a little mental, and I don't know. But again, you're right. It makes zero sense.
It makes zero like The dude already fucked you up because you said, "I'll pay attention to your wife and kids
Yes.
after this."
Yes.
And now you're, like, bending her over a fucking table and, like, threatening to fucking rape her?
Yeah.
Again, it makes no sense whatsoever other than the fact that it's a Mark Wahlberg action movie and there's a woman in it. So, see
there has
see see
there has
Kate
to be.
Mara and shoot her. It just,
Yep.
for no reason, has to happen.
Yep. 100%. So we cut from that to Wahlberg in Panama now, right?
Mhm.
So Chris gets to the drop where he's going to pick up the funny money, but there's an issue because it's printed on the wrong paper. And apparently, Chris Farraday in this movie is a chemist as well. So Chris gets really angry at the guy in Panama. So he's like, "Oh, I'm going to go to this other unhinged guy that, I know or knew from back when I did bad things." So he drives to this warehouse to pick up the real stuff. And Sebastian here then goes to see Briggs, and dun dun dun, looks like they're working together. Whatever. So I know, right? So Andy here, while Wahlberg's in there trying to make the deal, and here's the money for the funny money and yada yada. This is going over smooth, and you have to have at least a bump in the road. So they're already running, short on time because they fucked with the ship and whatever. So Andy dips because Briggs calls him and goes, "Hey, you got to pick up the drugs from this guy. So steal the drop money." And Andy just dips. FYI, this is another thing that doesn't make sense here because Wahlberg, because Andy dips, is like, "Oh my God, where's the money?" So now you got to go do this heist on an armored car because he's going to give you the funny money for free or whatever because you know him. Whatever. You're in Panama. And Briggs calls him and says, "Hey, Andy, go get these drugs from fucking Pedro or whatever, and or I'll kill the family." And he just ups and does it. Doesn't
I
tell Chris, doesn't. I mean, unless Pedro calls Briggs and was like, "Hey, where's your guy to pick up the drugs?" Yada yada. Like, you could just say Andy got arrested. You could say, you can make up anything. You're halfway around the world. He doesn't know what's going on.
No, this is one of those things where it's like, okay, we got to find a way to do a cool armored car robbery so we have machine guns and action again.
And
And it's
and,
so
and
fucking stupid. And the real reason here is we have to show again how Mark Wahlberg's plan is always perfect. Yet
yes.
somebody else fucks it up every single time. If everybody would just stay on plan, Mark Wahlberg would be in heaven
Yes.
next to God, judging all of us sinners,
Yes. Well,
like
and
Tom Hanks.
here's the funny thing. You say like, "Oh, he's got to go do this thing," or they, machine guns, and apparently they can't afford masks, so they duct tape their faces.
That was
What?
badass. I'll be
What?
honest with you.
Like, the look was cool, but I was there like, why are they duct taping their faces? Very poorly, I might add. Like, I can tell it's you, Joe. What are we doing here?
Yeah, they all look like they were going to like a poor person's Dollar General Mankind Halloween party. Like
They were
it
all
was a rough.
Panamanian mankind's all over the place. Like, "Hey, Gonzalo, I know it's you. You know how I know? Like, okay, your nose is covered, your forehead's covered, but your whole mouth and goatee, I can fucking tell it's you. You're not fooling anybody with this bullshit." But
No.
so they go to hijack this armored car. Shit goes awry. Gonzalo and his whole crew get murked here, and Chris gets away with his shipmate Danny, who came with him. They get the money. They got to get back to the ship. They're going through this whole thing. They get the ship into the cargo container. They get it onto the ship. Everything's good and good. They have like customs come and the captain come and check out a couple of the containers, but like they got tags for it, so everything's fine.
This whole thing is just absurd. The amount of time it takes, how they just make it back, they get it on the tag, the doors are open. Once again, Mark Wahlberg's quick thinking saves the day. I am so fucking bored with watching Jesus Christ pull off a fucking heist here. I am over it.
Well, this is where it goes back to Gone in 60 Seconds. This is literally Nick Cage's character. If you follow my fucking steps, if you do everything I say, because I am perfect at this, I've never been pinched, like everything will go off without a hitch. The minute one person goes, I think we should do this, everybody's fucked. And now Nick Cage has got to come back with his plan to save the day. But whatever, is what it is. So.
And again, a normal person here, because one of the next scenes is he goes down below decks and finds Andy straight fucking chilling.
Yeah, and he beats the fuck out of him.
But he stops and he listens to the message. He's like, oh, it's okay, kid. It's okay. You all right? You all right? No, dude. I'm not taking a second to listen to a word you say. I'm in this mess because of you. I'm in a second mess because of you. And for all I know, you went and gave this to some fucking Tijuana fucking Panamanian hooker who needs a fucking abortion. Go fuck yourself. There's no fucking way any of this is happening.
Yes.
I am continuing to beat the fuck out of him. I'm throwing him off of the ship, and I'm calling Briggs, and like he's in Panama, probably in a caravan somewhere, making his way up the fucking coast to the border. Go, happy hunting. I'm out. Do what you want. Kill the fucker. I'm over this kid.
Yep.
He's basically
100%.
the kid from The Purge. Just go
all the
fuck
way.
yourself.
All the way. All the way. So we then get the scene where the Scottish gangster Jim Church threatens to kill Sebastian because apparently Sebastian borrowed money from him for his construction company, and that's why Sebastian's in bed with it's just this whole convoluted thing. That's why Sebastian's in bed with Briggs. So in order to make sure that Chris doesn't dump the drugs into the ocean, because Chris told Sebastian that he was going to do that, he tells Briggs here to go scare Kate. This is where it does make sense. Go scare Kate, and then he comes in like, save the day. So that night, Briggs goes to Kate. And by the way, here's a don't do that. For all you bad guys out there.
Don't do that, it's not good for you.
Hi, bad guys. You've now gotten into this contraband of it all, right? And you got a guy smuggling for you because his brother-in-law owes you money, and you're into this, right? And you're like, I'm gonna hurt your family if you don't get me the things that I'm asking for. Cool, fine. You're a big tough, right? Totally good with that. But the guy that you're working with, who's best friends with him, is like, hey, you shouldn't have messed with him before, but now go scare her, and I'll come in and act like I'm saving the day. But like, he's gonna throw these drugs off if we don't do that. Go scare her. Don't drive your truck through her place of business and almost kill her, and then smash her head into the mirror. Like, he said scare her, like a sheet with 2 holes cut in it, like, ooh, like a ghost. Like, scare her. Don't almost kill her. That's a bridge too far, guy.
I don't know, man. The King James Bible that Mark Wahlberg reads says women need to be punished at all times.
You were correct.
Sebastian comes, saves her, And apparently he stopped drinking a long time ago, but he smells like alcohol. She doesn't want him to drive the kids. So she takes off, goes and drops her kids off with like a friend, and then for some reason goes back to Sebastian's house to get her clothes. Or I don't know what she's going back there for, but apparently in the script they need her to go back because they need her to just get almost murdered in this situation because Sebastian's like, "Hey, lady, I'm just trying to give you a kiss. I'm just trying to give you a kiss. We're just friends. Friends can't kiss on the mouth and like touch each other's butts."
Nothing. I'm not doing anything. I'm trying to give my friend a fucking kiss. What's your problem?
It again, we're just getting so convoluted and weird. And the question I asked when we're back at the construction site and we're seeing that Sebastian owes money to the fucking other construction site gangster guy.
Sure.
He wanted to open the movie by him wanting Wahlberg to come back into the game.
Yes.
Why wouldn't he just pick up the phone and be like, hey, bro, they're all coming to get you. I don't know how those people sound, but haggis, whatever. But they're coming to get you, and you need to Highland toss, the drugs off, and you're gonna owe me one when you get back on land, matey, or whatever. I don't know.
Talking about blood sausage and shit. I don't
eat your sick cuisine, psychopaths. But anyway, xenophobia aside, I don't know why he didn't get involved and call Wahlberg and be like, "Hey, bro, I got your family now. They are protected for real, for real.
Yeah.
Sebastian and Briggs, and they've set you up from the fucking jump. You're going to owe me one when you finish this." A good way to start would probably be, don't dump the drugs. I'll take the drugs. I'll take the cash. What kind of ends up happening? And then we'll move on from there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's in his best interest to go about that. But instead he's just like, yeah, I don't have to tell you what we're going to do to you. Have you seen Braveheart?
We're going to castrate you. So this is where everything kind of goes fucking bonkers if it hasn't already. Chris calls Sebastian. Well, Sebastian chases Kate into the bathroom, and he bursts in. She hits her head. He thinks she's dead, so he wraps her up in
She should have been
plastic.
Fucking dead.
100%.
Are you kidding me? Thank God he's got Jesus juice running through his veins. Because when he kissed her on the lips when she was in the hospital, she miraculously woke up, and by holding her hand, the power of Christ transferred through. He was holding his phone in the other hand with a prayer app, and then touching her hands, and all of that power transferred through.
You were correct.
So Chris calls Sebastian, says he knows what he did, and he's in bed with Briggs and the drugs and yada yada. So Sebastian gets scared here because he just murdered Chris's wife. So he calls the captain and says, "Hey, I'll cut you in on the whole thing, but Chris is smuggling." So the captain calls customs. They board the ship. They don't find anything. And then we get to they're back on land. Like Chris threw the whole thing, and he gives us all another science project, Mr. Wizard's World style.
Did you take science in school, Tariq?
Yeah.
And you should know salt dissolves in water, bitch.
A cook. The guy cooks on a ship and doesn't understand salt and water.
So
next he's going to go into a doctor's office and be like, "Yeah, you take salt and water. If you got a sore throat, you gargle it." And all the doctors are going to be like, "Holy shit! Where did you come up with this?"
So Wahlberg here, they get on land, right? Everybody starts going back home, the whole crew, whatever. Briggs shows up. Wahlberg beats the fuck out of him to let Andy go. Andy goes running away. And then he's like, "Oh, I'm going to take you to where your drugs are." So apparently he hid the drugs in like the shop vac that the captain had in his trunk. So they go to the captain's house and it's a trap. So Wahlberg like ducks out the back, steals the car, and then the captain comes down. And J.K. Simmons here is fucking amazing, by the way. They're all doing the coke on like his coffee table. He's like, "The fuck are you guys doing in my house?"
And I love too their response. They're just like, shut up, old man. Just a bunch of fucking weird dude. Do you know how freaked out that would be? To come downstairs in the middle of the night and just see a bunch of weirdos doing coke around your table, and they're like, shut up. Like they fucking have been there all day.
My favorite part is like the cops come because the security system goes off, and the cops show up. They arrest Ribisi and like his crew, but they also arrest J.K. Simmons too. He was like, "I've never fucking seen these guys." So Wahlberg then drives to his house. He drives to Sebastian's house. He can't find anyone anywhere. We see Sebastian trying to dispose of Kate's body at the construction site, and there's cement being poured on Kate's body. Chris gets to the construction site. There's a little back and forth. There's no forth. There's just back. Mark Wahlberg mushes Sebastian here, and then the cement trucks are going off. A lot of noise. You got construction crew out there. They're making noise. He calls Kate's phone, which is under cement by now, and he can hear it ring over all the noise. And he's like, I gotta save my wife. So he knocks all the shit out, and then he finally saves his wife, who's barely hanging on. And then we get to the end, where, listen, this is how you know there's too much in the script. When you get to the end and you have to have 17 cutaways, your friends getting the funny money that you attach to the salt because it floats to the top, your brother-in-law buying the van that everybody, because there was a painting in it and it happened to be a Jackson Pollock, but everybody thinks it's like a painting canvas or some shit. Dude, this is fucking crazy.
Gustavo in Panama duct taped his face to steal a Jackson Pollock painting?
You were right.
And then Sebastian, I guess, gets snubbed in prison, so we get that piece. And then Wahlberg gets paid by the Irish gangster for the funny money, and then they make a joke about the Jackson Pollock painting, and then the movie ends on a happy note with Chris chilling with his family. Cool, done and done.
Playing soccer, and the kids, I love you, Papa. I love you too, sons. Never mind all the trauma of seeing your mother get bent over by Giovanni Ribisi. There are some very clear Wahlberg rewrites in here. First off, the original was set out of San Francisco and set to go to Japan, where they were going to do this big epic fucking fight. And he's just like, no fucking Asian. He will not have it.
No.
And I know what you're going to say in the comments. You fucking talking a lot of shit. He'd kick your ass. No, he wouldn't. You know why? Because I ain't fucking Asian. I'm going to get prayed for. That's what he's going to do to me. Okay? So everybody calm down.
No, I'm just getting warmed up.
It's just too above the law for me to even. It's so boring bullshit. It's like Brad Pitt in World War Z and how South Park made fun of that.
Yeah.
Like these guys that have no flaws, they do nothing wrong. Like nothing ever goes wrong in their presence. It's every outside force fucking their world up. But they're also too good of guys to just cut those people loose. Yeah. Fuck off. Show me something real.
It's those movies. It's, you know, again, going back to Gone in 60 Seconds, this movie, the Above the Law of it all, fucking Rounders. It's like you have to have that guy who is like, can do no wrong as long as, like, but at least in Rounders, he fucked himself at the beginning of the movie. That's why he's in the position that he's in now. Like,
Yeah.
in these movies, it's like, oh, he did a bad thing or he was doing bad things, but like, he didn't lose anything. He's done nothing but gain since now he's on the straight and narrow, and like, he's got a wife and kids and a fucking successful security company and all that shit. And you got to listen to me or everything goes haywire. I mean, when I first saw this movie,
Mhm.
I liked it because it's action and there's driving and there's guns and explosions and all kinds of shit, right?
Yeah.
Your typical action. I really wasn't paying attention to the plot. But now looking back, I'm like, oh, this movie's like this movie and this movie and this movie. It's kind of like going back to the whole JCVD thing. Every movie, oh, he killed my brother, he killed my sister, he killed my father. Like, your revenge is a good, a plot device.
Mhm.
But like this dude's a fuck up. Like, you could have just had him get caught up in some shit versus this same old tired ass story with, and you can even stick to the tired ass story as long as you don't have 17 other like side missions in this fucking movie where you get to the
Well,
end and you have to have these guys doing this and these guys doing this and him getting this and blah. At the end, it should just go to credits.
yeah, and this isn't Ocean's 11. Like, you haven't charmed us enough to give a fuck about any of these other side characters.
Yes.
Because you haven't given any of them any story whatsoever except for Lucas Haas pissing his pants because he's got a fucking wife now.
Yeah.
Great. That's no backstory. That's just rando conversation.
Yeah.
But no, he's too perfect of a character. Everybody else is just garnish. It's not even an appetizer. It's not even a vegetable. It's not a baked potato. They're garnishment. You set them off to the side. This movie's just about him being awesome.
Yeah.
Really. And again, they're trying to play it off like they got it gone for 60 seconds. They don't. And I think the difference between this and like an Equalizer, right? Because Robert McCall from the Equalizer also seems perfect. He does everything correctly. He's done all this. One, he's a fucking trained assassin. But two, his past is his fuck up. He can't get out of his past. We just have to catch him in the middle of this story.
Yeah.
Right? Where he's in the middle of this depression. He's shut down. He doesn't want to know people. He's not letting anyone in, except for when he meets this one girl. And that's when it all comes back. Right? And all that rage and shit he's got built up comes out on everybody else who hurt this one person he cares about. Cool. Fair. That's a good story. That character is flawed. Chris is out of that.
Yeah.
He's got a wife and kids now. Not a kid. Kids who are old enough to be playing fucking soccer. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't get out of this yesterday. He didn't just end a bid and is trying to get back on his feet. He's a successful, straight-laced guy with a family. You're just too fucking perfect, bro. If you were that and then got pulled into some shit and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. Kind of like The Rock in that movie Faster, where he has to become a snitch.
Yeah.
Right? And end up doing it. He had no idea what he was doing that whole time. That was appealing. You wanted to see how he was going to get through it. This guy knew the score. He just had to dip his fucking toe back in the water.
Yep.
Like, oh, I hadn't been swimming in a year. I wonder if I can still do it. Yes, because you're Jesus Christ incarnate, which is all he ever wanted to hear anyway. So congratulations,
Absolutely.
Mark. You did it. You're Jesus. Stop making these fucking movies. Please.
Well, and on that note, for Corey, I'm Armando. This is Kiss the Reviews. And this was 2012's Contraband. And this was requested by Damien, one of our Patreon subscribers. So,
Hey, Mark, will you sign my cat of nine tails?